Vasudeva. Hari Om. Syam no mitrasyam varunaha syam no bhavatvaryama syam na indro brahaspatihi syam no vishnurkramaha namo brahmane namaste vayo tvameva pratyaksham brahmasi tvameva pratyaksham brahma vadishyami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Pratyapāschātya deshanam samanvaya vidhayakam shantam saumya gunopetam krishnam vande jagadgurum. Om asmat gurubhyo namaha. Welcome to all our brothers and sisters, and special greetings to all of you for the new year 2021. So in the new year, this is our first session. So I wish that all the humanity should be relieved or freed from the present crisis situation, from the pandemic. So now, let us continue our study of Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So in our last session, we have studied Aphorism 21, Tivra Samveganam Asannaha. That means for those who speed up with systematized intensity, the spiritual consciousness will be readily attained. So the aptitude for anything is only solidified attitude continuously applied. Then only, so when there is a continuous attitude, an attitude which is solidified, which is continuously applied for anything, then it becomes an aptitude. So the attitude should become an aptitude. So that is a transformation. So then the attitude before it becomes an attitude. So when the attitude is solidified and continuously applied, then it becomes an aptitude. But also we have to see, before it becomes an attitude, what happens? It does not go through qualitative decomposition. Therefore, it is called the spiritual consciousness at that stage. That is the highest. It is also called the light of the Lord, which is there in everyone, as I am. So when it has undergone the transformation of attitude and aptitude before this, it comes down to the level of qualities. So we are just making a review of the previous Aphorism 21, just a review before we enter into Aphorism 22. So when it has undergone the transformation of attitude and aptitude, it comes down to the level of qualities. So a stimulation of the right attitude transforms the mind and its attitudes back into the illumination of the spiritual consciousness. So the attitudes are at mental level, attitudes. So the mind has its attitudes. So the right attitude is to be stimulated. That is important. A stimulation of the right attitude, that brings a transformation to the mind and the mind and its attitudes back into the illumination. Such a change is called non-attachment or vairagya. But it takes a long time to realize this result. It takes a pretty long time to realize this. Why? Because the mind is to be transformed into consciousness. That is what is required to attain this. So the mind is to be transformed into consciousness with the help of the mind only. That is the problem. The mind is to be transformed. That is important. Into consciousness. But this is done through the help of the mind only. Therefore, it takes such a long time. So, raising oneself by himself is the task that is to be faced by any disciple. So it is explained, Uddharet Atmanatmanam. Transform yourself by yourself. Transform yourself by yourself. So raising oneself by himself, it is a task for every disciple in the first steps of practice. So it is in the beginning, it appears to be difficult, but by a constant application, that is why abhyasa is required, In the very beginning, he told us abhyasa, repetition. So, an ardent stimulation is to be made in constant succession. An ardent stimulation means a strong stimulation without losing the grip is required. So it should be a taste cultivated without a desire. This is the most important thing. A taste is to be cultivated without a desire. It should be of a taste cultivated without a desire. Previously also, many times we have remembered that a desire, there is a difference between desire and need. So we have to clearly understand this difference between desire and need. When the consciousness desires, it exists on the lower plane of the mind. So, this is the problem. It should not be, the intensity of the stimulation should not be a desire. Stimulation is needed. An intense stimulation is to be done, but it should not be a desire. For example, if a disciple observes himself that he has a very high anger in his mind, so if he makes a desire that I should remove my anger, so if it is a desire, then there will be a problem, because desire exists on the lower plane of mind. Desire always exists in the lower plane of the mind. And it is ever changing. And desire is not constant. Because on the lower plane of mind is always changing and changing, so never constant. Therefore, what happens? If it is so much changeable, then it will be defeated. So, the purpose is defeated. You cannot succeed. When the consciousness is linked with need, it exists on the plane of pure will. This is the difference. We have to clearly understand this. So the consciousness is to be linked with need. When the consciousness desires, it exists with the lower plane of mind. So it should not be desire. It should be linked with the need. You know, need never changes, but desire changes. Because need belongs to the body under the light of pure consciousness, whereas desire belongs to the mind. So mind always, especially the lower state of mind, is ever changing, never constant. So therefore, if it is a desire, if the consciousness is only linked to desire, then there will be defeat, because it is always changing. So it should be linked up to the need. Then only it exists on the plane of pure will. a little bit more clarity is required, I think, about desire and need. When we feel hungry, what is needed is to take food. So that is need. Food is needed to satiate hunger. When we are hungry, it is a need, it is needed. Food is very much needed for us to satiate the hunger. And for this purpose, since food is needed, so this purpose will be better fulfilled when you can make your food tasty. That is also given by nature. So you can make your food tasty so that you will be fulfill the need which is in the form of hunger by taking food. So that is right attitude only. So that is the need. But since this food is tasty, and after the hunger is satiated, then still your mind makes a desire to have some more food. So now, if you take some more food because it is tasty, it is no more a need, it is a desire. So, now you feel that this is tasty and this you like this taste. Okay. After some time, there may be a change in your mind, and you do not feel this same food, same preparation, you may not feel tasty because your taste has changed. Why this happened? Because if it is a desire, then it changes. Why? Because desire belongs to the mind, and because mind is changeable, because of this, your desires may change from time to time. Need is never changeable. For example, you feel hungry, that is a need to feed yourself. If you feel thirsty, that is a need to have some good drink to quench the thirst. This is a need. If you are very tired, it is a need. You need to sleep to give rest to the body for some time. It is a need. So need never changes because it belongs to the body. So when the consciousness is linked with the need, it exists on the plane of pure will. Because need is constant, it is never changeable. So your consciousness is to be linked with a thing which is not changeable. If you link it with something which changes, like for example the mind, the desire, then it is not constant. So a systematic stimulation of the consciousness towards the difference between desire and need, along with a selection of need and a stimulation and a simultaneous rejection of desire should be present. That means, you see, You should always have an example from our daily life. If you see something, if you are at the table means for taking food, breakfast or lunch or dinner, whatever it may be, when you are at the table, when you see some delicious things there arranged in the plates, dishes, so delicious that just by looking at them, you start salivation. You look, just looking at the dish, oh, so tasty thing. And just because of your association with the taste before, from the recollection of the taste, your tongue starts already stimulating, and it starts with salivation, like this. So, but what is required is that a systematic stimulation of consciousness towards the difference between desire and need. So, in this example, when you have dishes before you, delicious, then you must be able to stimulate yourself, are able to differentiate whether it is a need or desire. This is what is important. Systematic stimulation of the consciousness towards need, towards the difference between need and desire. And then you should be able to select basing on the need. Taking the delicious food is not wrong. You can select a delicious food, no problem with that. It is not prohibited at all. You can select very tasty, delicious food, okay. But when you are hungry, when food is needed, then you can select a delicious food, delicious, nutritious food. You can select and you can eat that food until the hunger is satiated. But if you take the food only because of a desire towards the food, basing on the taste of the food, then you will have the problem. So, with a selection of need and a simultaneous rejection of the desire, this is what we have to practice. In the beginning, it appears very difficult. For example, you had your food, and then after a very few minutes, then a close friend of you came to visit you. He is a very close friend who came after a long time, and you like him very much, or you like her very much. Then the friend said, let us go to the restaurant. So you have gone there with the friend. But you had your food already up to the brim. You have eaten full at home. And you went to the restaurant to satisfy your friend. Okay. The friend is hungry. You are not hungry. So then your friend has ordered a very delicious food. for you and for him. Then what you have to do? So you have to select. You have to make a decision to take the food, so delicious food, basing on a selection with desire or need. If you take the food because of the desire and you say, to satisfy my friend, I have taken the food, even though you have taken the food before, just a few minutes before, but now once again you want to take the food because to please your friend, and also cannot avoid because of so delicious taste of the food. So you have succumbed, or you got influenced by the desire. So a rejection of desire, a selection of what is needed, and a rejection of desire, these are to be simultaneously practiced. That is what is explained. So we should always remember, needs belong to the body, desires belong to the mind. So the mind needs nothing. The mind doesn't need anything. But the body needs food and drink and rest. These are the needs. Mind does not need anything to live upon. Food is required for maintaining the body. Sleep is required to have a rest, and work to keep it fit. These are the real needs. You need also, work is also a need to keep yourself fit. At the same time, the taste for food, desire for sleep, a pleasure of sex belong to the mind. So sex is also a need to reproduce, but just like the taste for food, desire for sleep, if sex is for the pleasure, then it belongs to the mind, and they are not needed. They are the gifts of nature to keep the mind working for the needs. These are given by nature. A taste for food is a gift. Because the food is not tasty, you may not accept the food which is required. So, taste of the food is also a gift from the nature. And the desire for sleep, but sleep is also a gift to give rest when it is required. But a desire to sleep is different. So a desire for food because of the taste, a desire for sleep, and then a pleasure of sex belong to the mind, therefore they are not needed. It is the duty of the human being to train the mind not to go into indulgence. So that is very important. Indulgence, we have to avoid to go into indulgence. So such a discrimination gives required stimulation for the transformation, and this is known as non-attachment. So an a continuous stimulation with an intense discrimination readily makes the transformation possible within a very short period. So this is what is explained in this Aphorism 21. Tivra Sangveganam Asannaha, which we have studied last time. For those who speed up this systematized intensity, speed up with systematized intensity, the spiritual consciousness will be readily attained. So a continuous stimulation with an intense discrimination readily makes the transformation possible within a very short period. So this is about the 21st aphorism which we have studied last time. Now we proceed to the 22nd aphorism. Mrudu madhya adhimatratvat tatopi viseshaha. Mrudu means soft. Madhya means medium. Adhimatratvat. Adhimatra means by doing beyond measure. Matra means measure. Adhimatra means by doing beyond measure. And tatahapi means even that. Viseshaha, differentiation. That means even the process. Even in the process, what is the process? The transformation. In the previous aphorism, we have studied that a continuous stimulation with an intense discrimination readily makes the transformation possible within a short period. That is what we have studied in the previous aphorism. So speed up with systematic intensity. So in this process, in this 22nd aphorism, what he says is, even in this process, there is a differentiation in applying. There are three types of applications. One is intense application. Second is moderate application. And third is a gentle way of application. So according to the evolution of consciousness, the intensity of application differs. For those who are new to the path in a particular birth, the effort is accompanied by violence in intensity. When you feel, I should become a yogi, and then start practicing, then the intensity for those who are new to the path, in this birth, suppose we have entered the path newly, first time, then the effort is accompanied by violence or intensity. Those who have already gone some training in the previous birth and it is continuing in this present birth as a law of nature, then this person shows less violent or moderate intense application. Intensity is there in application, but moderately. And the third possibility is, for those who are sufficiently initiated into the ease of the path, from the previous births, the effort has no violence. Because for them, the attainment of non-attachment is within the reach. So, these three is explaining these three categories in the application of constant stimulation. So, some people are there who are all the time, during all the 24 hours of the day, their enthusiasm is continuing. They are constantly applying with enthusiasm without any question in the mind whether the process is completed or not. But mentally they are always in that presence. So it is not conditioned by certain things like distance or connected to with any person, particular person, so connected to any particular place. So therefore, wherever they are, but constantly all the 24 hours with the same enthusiasm, they continue the practice. For this, Master has gave an example for us to understand very easily. There were two fellows who are trying to attain this yogic state. Of course, they wanted to become big yogis. So both of them approached a guru. And they approached the guru and requested the guru to give and to initiate them. So the guru asked, what for you want an initiation? He said, we want to become yogis with all the powers and all these things. So then the guru said, okay, I am glad you are enthusiastic to get initiated to become yogis, okay. But now I am on an urgent work. I am going, I have to go to a place. But I will give you, both of you, I will give a little initiation of a mantra. After 1 year, I will return to you, to both of you. And you, meanwhile, you keep practicing this. And he said, but there are certain procedures to follow. That means certain rules are there to follow when you want to get initiated and when you want to get initiated and you want to be you want to become yogi. So for this, I will give you a mantra, both of you, but you practice this mantra, but there are certain rules and conditions which are very important for you. So what are the rules of, that means you have to practice this mantra with remembering all these rules and regulations, because unless you follow these rules and regulations, just uttering the mantra is not enough. So what are the rules and conditions? He said, during this 1 year, not even once you should speak any untruth. That is very important. You speak only truth, no untruth should be spoken by you. And second one is, whoever is speaking to you, whether it may be a child, whether it may be a young one, or it may be an elderly person, whoever is speaking to you, remember that I am speaking through them. Only these are the two conditions. So you practice this mantra following these two conditions, and then I will come back, and basing upon your practice, I will initiate you into the higher powers and mantra. Then they said, okay, and the Guru proceeded. And after 1 year, this Guru came back. And the first one who got this mantra from him, so he called this fellow and asked him, have you completely followed the two conditions, fulfilled the two conditions which I told you? Yes. He said, yes, surely, 100% sure. I never spoke any word which is untruth. And also, I followed your second instruction that whomever I listen, whoever was speaking to me, talking to me, always I was listening to you only through them. So then the Guru said, very good, my boy. So you have fulfilled these instructions so well. So this indicates that you need a higher Guru for you to initiate you, because you have reached a higher level. So you can go in search of a higher Guru than me. And he called the second one. And he put the same question. He put the same question to him. Then he said, Master, whether I have followed your injunctions properly or not, that is up to you to confirm, because you told us that even when you are far from us, you can observe, you can read our minds. Whatever we are thinking, whatever we are speaking, you can listen. So when this is true, you know quite well whether I have followed your injunctions or not. So if you feel that I have rightly followed your instructions, then you please accept me as your disciple and guide me. If you feel that I could not fulfill, then you can discard me, whatever it is, but it is up to you to decide. Then the Guru said, yes, you are the right disciple. then he has taken him as disciple and initiated him. See? Therefore, what made this fellow, that is what the Guru said. Guru asked him, do you know what made you to follow these instructions and injunctions so properly is, even though I am physically away from you, but how you followed this is having my presence with you. So this presence, so therefore, if presence is not just physical presence, that is most important. Not all the time the master physically will be available to the disciple. If any disciple feels that he needs that always physically master should be with him, then he is not able to have the presence of the master. He could not feel the presence. Physical presence is not the presence. Therefore, those who feel the presence, they practice this in a smooth manner. So for the example of the three types, that is what it is given here. Soft manner. So the process, so the application is a gentle manner. So those who have the presence, so once if the master, if the Guru just mentions once, that is enough. From that moment, this fellow will have the presence of the master. So the feeling of the presence of the master depends upon the attitude of the disciple. You know, that doesn't mean that a master makes his presence, very good presence to one disciple and less to the other disciple. It is not like that if he is the real master. But the difference will be in the attitude of the disciple. So therefore, so there are, without the physical presence of the master also, if the disciple could keep up his constant practice by meditating or by feeling the presence of the master, then it is a soft way of practicing. That is the first category, those who practice, because we have mentioned in this aphorism 3 categories of people are mentioned. So this is the first category. So a gentle way means without violence. So there is no need of violence in your practice. Practice should be intense but not violently. It should be gentle. So that is one category of people. The second category of people are those who are moderate. In this moderate category, this is there the disciple requires more push from the master. When the master can push him, then he will practice. How the master can push? For example, a master, a guru, he was approached by a disciple. So he could know that the disciple requires more, like a boosting up, more push. So then the disciple told him that you have to do this without fail, constantly you have to practice. If you make any sort of deviation, then it will affect me also, because I have initiated you. So sometimes some masters or some gurus, they need some boost up. How the gentle type of disciple will make his practice with a gentle type of master, how it will be. For this, Master Jwalkol has explained, when once a disciple asked the same thing, the disciple asked the Master Jwalkol, that during our practice, if we commit any mistakes, are you sure that you will be observing us and prevent us from doing any mistakes? That is the question put by the disciple to Master Jwalkol. What Master Jwalkol answered is that, my dear boy, we the masters will be observing you, but we do not make any special effort to prevent you from doing mistakes. We will not, it is not our work to prevent you from committing mistakes. It is sure that we will observe you. The masters will observe you, but to prevent you from committing mistakes is not our work. It is you who should be constantly careful not to commit any mistakes. Responsibility of keeping away from committing mistakes is yours. That is what Master said clearly. Because we have accepted you because you came to us. We have not invited you. And we have not set up a profession, guru or master as a profession. It is not a profession. We are not making any business through this profession. So therefore, in this, what Master Jalkul said is, there are no ashrams on the physical plane in the 20th century. That is what Master Jalkul said to the disciples. So, you have to yourself make the effort. You have to put the effort. You keep working. You make the effort. And you have to take care of not committing any mistakes. For this, how it is possible? That means you have to fulfill all your duties in the physical plane, on the physical plane. You have certain duties to do, certain responsibilities to fulfill. You have to attend to your duties and responsibilities. And simultaneously you have to practice, you have to keep the practice on the spiritual plane. Master C.V. also told his disciples that he has given an example that, when your profession is, for example, to drive a taxi, a car. So during daytime, you have to continue to work for the customers. And if you have any repair to your vehicle, do it at night. Don't keep your vehicle stopped for some time, some days. So you have to repair your vehicle during the night. During the daytime, you have to continue your work. Just like this, the same manner, you have to do all your duties in the mundane world. That is very important. And you have to continue your practice on the higher plane. Both the things should be simultaneous. So this is the moderate way of practicing. One is this soft way of practicing. Second is moderate way of practicing. And the third category is those who practice violently. That is the third category. So, those who are new to the path, generally, they try to make practice violently, a bit violently. So there are some people who want to practice violently, means they want to practice intensely so that they won't mind if they are disturbing the people around them. For example, some new disciple have received a mantra from his guru, and his guru said, you have to recite this mantra without fail every day. So then this fellow started to recite this mantra. Suppose he went on a camp to another place where a friend with his family is residing, and they have offered him to stay with them. So this fellow stayed with them, and early in the morning he started to do his practice, making all the sounds. On a high pitch, he started to say Om like this. Suppose it is a little house, and those who have hosted him, this family, are there. So this fellow, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he started to meditate and uttering the mantra Om with very loud voice, and disturbing those people. They could not sleep. So this fellow is practicing with violence, disturbing the other persons. For our practice, we are not expected to disturb in any manner the other persons. That is also very important. So, therefore, this is a practice which should be practiced gently, or maybe in a medium manner, not but with such violence. So there should not be any roughness. You should not be rough in practicing. This rough fellow so this he may some people some person, for example, who was initiated and he is practicing, then if this fellow is so violence means in that sense that he will observe the other person, why you are not doing this, why you are not doing this. But there are some persons like this. He wants to make himself ready and do this practice, and he observes the other persons whether they are practicing or not. And he will shout at them, let us practice here, come on, why you are not joining me like this? So you are not expected to do that. You practice for yourself. Other people, they will also practice when it is time for them. So there should be no roughness. It should be soft in your practicing. So therefore, self-discipline is very important. The discipline is for yourself. That is what the Master says. The discipline is for your sake. You should not think about the other persons, whether they are not disciplined or not. So, to practice Vairagya should be in a gentle manner. That is very important. So therefore, the Vairagya or the non-attachment is ready and within the reach for them who practice with more ease and without violence. That is most important for us to remember. So what is the goal is, we have to practice. We have to reach non-attachment, Vairagya. So it is within the reach, it is asannaha means it is ready. That is what he says. that is ready, but with the three categories of practitioners. So ultimately, what is required is for them who have no violence and for those who are sufficiently initiated into the path and the effort has no violence, then non-attachment is attained easily and it is within the reach. That is what is explained in this aphorism 22nd. Now we pass on to the next aphorism, aphorism 23. So this aphorism, he says, Ishvara pranidhanad va. So, Ishvara pranidhana means a total surrender to the Lord in us. So it is attained, the samadhi, it is attained rapidly by a total surrender to the Lord. So this is what is explained in this aphorism, aphorism 23. Ishvara pranidhanad va. So, Ishvara means the Lord. The Lord, the indweller, is called Ishvara. Pranidhana means a total surrender. So he says, Ishvara pranidhanad va. Va means otherwise. Or here it is, va is used to say also, not only the how it is explained in the previous aphorism, but also it is possible by a total surrender to the Lord consciousness, to the Lord in us. Total surrender. So to make such a surrender, total surrender to the Lord, how can you make a surrender without knowing who is Ishvara? So unless we know Ishvara, what is Ishvara or who is Ishvara, how can we make a surrender? To whom? To whom we have to surrender? To make a total surrender to the Lord. Who is the Lord? So there are the 5 types of work, 5 types of working of the sense organs. You know, we have sense organs. And all of them, they work with the mind. So this mind, which is working by using the 5 sense organs, by 5 types of sensing, so this mind is called the negative I am. And this has 7 layers. Through the 7 layers, this mind is working in us. So the mind is like, there are many faculties which are there in the mind. Just like how, for example, if you take a glass of water and you put some salt, some sugar, and some such substances like which can be dissolved in water. Sugar dissolves in water, salt dissolves in water. So these things, all of them, they are dissolved in the water. So mind is like this water in which many of these things are there dissolved in it. So this is an example for that. So this mind, which contains all these different things dissolved in it, is called the negative I am in us. So this mind has these seven layers. And this real I am is the indweller in all these layers. How is this indweller? How can we know this indweller, the real I am? How is the existence of this I am? This real I am is never influenced by any of these layers. These layers are there in the mind only, which is the negative I am, but the real I am is not influenced by any of these layers. For example, you take a bottle, empty bottle. So what is there in this empty bottle? What is there in the empty bottle? When you say it is empty, how will you ask that what is there in the empty bottle? Is it not ridiculous? If I ask you, if I take an empty bottle, which I have put the screw, the cap, and showing to you, if I ask you a question, what is there in the empty bottle? There is nothing in the empty bottle. Nothing. There is space in the empty bottle, isn't it? Do you agree or not? What you call empty bottle is filled by the space. How? Because there is space around also. Because the bottle is there in the space, therefore space is also there in the empty bottle. Within the empty bottle also, it is filled with the space. But is it possible that any little part of the space inside the bottle is going to stick to the bottle? You take the same bottle, put some water in the bottle, and throw out the water. Even then also some water will be there attached to the surface, inner surface of the bottle. Likewise, you put any substance, there will be some part of that substance which is there attached to the inner surface of the bottle. But when you observe only so-called empty bottle, which is filled up with the space, is this space, do you find the space will make itself any little part of it which will be attached to the surface of the bottle? No, not at all. So, you make another experiment. You put some some solution with some color or some particles with color inside the bottle and put the lid. So there is some colored substance and there is also the space. And if you move this bottle from one place to another place, the space from which the bottle is removed, do you find the space is affected by the color or some particles which are there in the bottle? No. So this space which is there either around the bottle or whether inside the bottle, by any manner, it is never influenced by anything, any substance. Now, is it clear or not? Do you accept it or not? There are many things in the space. Some are having good water, some are having stinking water, some are very good, fresh, clear substances, some are very stinky, dirty substances. All these are there in the space. But the space is never influenced or affected by any of these substances. We have to accept this or not? Yes. So space cannot, by any means, by any manner, space cannot be tainted or cannot be affected by any substance, by any matter. Any substance or any matter is existing in the space only. Otherwise, it is not possible to exist anywhere. But even then, the space is not at all affected by any of these substances. For example, we go into a kitchen where the process of cooking is going on. We have a very good order of cooking. Of course, if you use some good substances with odor, like cardamom and all these things, you can also have some stinking substances also you can put in the kitchen, which will give you stinking smell. So it is up to you whether it is a good odor or bad odor. But let us take a good odor, for example. When there is cooking is going on, so there is very good flavor, good odor, which we can feel, which we can smell. But the smell is influencing only our mind through the nose, through smelling, but the space is not, the akasha, the space, is not at all influenced, whether it is a good odor or whether there is stinking odor, whatever it may be, the space is not affected at all. So it is a fact. Also, is there any sort of change? You mean, for example, when you are traveling in a train or when you are traveling in an aeroplane, when you observe, when you meditate, you do not imagine, you need not imagine. Some people say you imagine, no imagination. You meditate. There is space. We are moving in the space. So, whatever object is moving or whoever person is moving in the space, Is this space affected? Is it the same space or not? It is a bit difficult to know about the space. Of course now there are so many experiments, explorations also in the present times using the space. We are making space travel and all these things. That is okay. But actually to know the real state of akasha, space, for this we require to be elevated into that plane of consciousness. You see, therefore we must try to study and meditate upon these facts, these observations. So, you see, we make certain observations. Our earth is moving in the space or not? We accept that. Our earth is moving around itself and moving around the sun. All this activity is going on in the space only. That is one thing. And when we are traveling in the train, our train moves in the space. So we are all moving because we are in the train. This space, the nature of this space, Master has given a wonderful example, most practical example. When we are traveling in the train, which is going at very high speed, there is a small fly, the flies, the small insects, which will be just sitting on our face, and then we fly them away, and again it comes and stands on our space, our body. So for this fellow, suppose there is a fly sitting on the nose, so we have thrown it off away, and the fly is called fly because it's always flying up. And the train is moving with a very high speed. Strangely, this fly which is flying in the space there, it is also moving along with us in the train. How it should be, when it has gone up from our face, then the train is moving fastly. When we will move fast, this fly should be there very far away from us, but it is also traveling along with us with the same speed. How is it possible? We are not mindful of these incidents. We are not observing any of these things. How it is that? That means there is outer space, there is inner space. And there is a differentiation from the outer space, between the outer space and the inner space. So, there is absolute space, and within this absolute space, there are units of space. This we have to understand. If we do not understand this, we cannot explore this mystery. It appears mysterious, how it is possible, but there is no mystery. It is a fact, it is a scientific fact that there is absolute undivided space, within which there are units of space. So these units of space keep moving in the space only. And these units of space, they contain the units of space within them. Ultimately, all of them are moving in the space only. So all of them who are traveling in the train in this example, they are existing in those layers of space which is there as unit space within the train. Therefore, this fly also is included in the unit space of the train. Therefore, it keeps on flying on your face again and again without being disturbed. So this space, this unit of space inside the train is moving within the train along in the same speed with which this train is moving, while the space around is not moving. We have to meditate upon this. You have to, again and again, we have to contemplate upon this. You are traveling in a flight or in a train going on high speed. So the space within this vehicle, which is unit, is moving with that speed. But the space in the background around this is neutral. So therefore, there is space before the flight has entered, and then there is space within the flight, and there is space which is there after the flight has gone. You see, this, now you have three. So, what is the relationship of these three types of space? So this relationship is called the real I am or Ishvara. So now you can, to some extent, you can know what is Ishvara. So Ishvara is this absolute, like an absolute space. The indweller means indweller. Ishvara means indweller. So in this aphorism he has Ishvara pranidhanat, a total surrender to the Ishvara. Who is this Ishvara? Unless we know, how can we make a surrender to the one who is not known to us? It is ridiculous. We cannot surrender ourselves to somebody whom we don't know. But without knowing all these things, if I say, I surrender to the Lord, but who is the Lord? How is the Lord? How is Ishvara? Where is Ishvara? Who is Ishvara? So to know who is Ishvara, that is why we have studied with these examples. This space, example of space is given, which is most important to study what is Ishvara. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, Ishvara, Lord explains that Ishvara means the one who exists as the consciousness, center of consciousness in every being. That means the center of consciousness, which is called Hrut or heart. So he is there dwelling as the controller in every conscious center of consciousness of every being. He is called Ishvara. So, Ishvara is like this space. A space which is absolutely there, in which all the beings and all the objects are moving, but the space is constantly there. This is how we have to understand Ishvara. So, this Ishvara is there as I am. So, he is given a special name, I am. So, this Ishvara is referred to as I am. The I am. So, this I am is there existing, and we have to make a total surrender to the I am in us. This Ishvara, total surrender to the Ishvara. So that is what is called Ishvara Pranidhana. So therefore we have just entered into this aphorism 23, Ishvara Pranidhanadva. So we will study this more in our next session. Now I have to explain you a little bit about our next session. Today is the 3rd of January. So on the 10th of January, our next Sunday, we will be in the place of Guru Puja. Most of you know, every year on the 11th, 12th and 13th of January, we will celebrate Guru Puja at our Guntur center. Most of our friends every year, physically also they are present on this occasion. But this year, because of the COVID, it is not possible physically anybody to travel to this place, not only from other countries, but even people in our country also not allowed to gather so much at a place because of this. Therefore, we have decided, we have made such an arrangement that a few of us will be there to make the arrangements and to continue the celebration of the program, the main program of the Guru Puja, which starts from 5 o'clock in the morning, continuing with chanting of Vedic mantras and chanting of in glory of the masters, and then 6 o'clock in the prayer, followed by a discourse, and then after a little break, continuation of ritual, the puja and the fire ritual, and after that, discourses and sankirtan, singing of bhajans and all this, and after lunch break in the afternoon, the glory of Mother Goddess of the 1,000 names, utterance, and again some discourses, and in the evening again prayer followed by discourse, satsanga, like every day, and after that by 8 o'clock it will be concluded for that day, like this. And all these 3 days we have arranged to make a direct telecast, live telecast. Everyone, all our friends and sisters, our brothers and sisters, everyone from everywhere in the world, you can view all this program, all these 3 days directly on your television or your computer screen or on your Androids by any means. So this year only physically we will not be able to meet there, but we will be together participating on these 3 days of this. So on the 11th, 12th and 13th. So therefore next week is 10th. So therefore next week there will be no class. And after this, after the Guru Pujas, every year, during the last many years, we are conducting training classes for our brothers and sisters from Russia, Ukraine and European countries, from Germany, Switzerland, Belgium, France and all these countries. Our members, our friends are coming every year and participating in this program, training program. But this year, because of these conditions, we have decided that we will continue these training classes, which will start from 16th of January for 2 weeks this year until the end of January, 2 weeks. So this will be also directly, it will be participating virtually in these classes. So all of you can have this opportunity to attend these classes from 16th of January until the end of January for 2 weeks. So the timings and details and all these things, you can contact Fani Gopal. He will give you all these details of timings and all these things, because there is time difference between India and your countries. So how we will adjust this time difference will be told to you. So this time, this will be conducted from our Sri Salem center, our ashram in Sri Salem. So you can enjoy this virtually by getting connected to the classes. So we will give more notifications on this, on Master app also, and also through our communication means. So thank you all. So we will meet during Guru Pujas on the 11th, 12th and 13th. I wish you, all of you, you can enjoy to take part in the Guru Pujas. Vasudeva.